Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 339, recorded on the weekend of June 7th. I'm your host Patrick. I'm flying alone for this section this week. Cordovan, aka Jerry, will join me later. This week's screenshot, Chronicus slays a dragon in the Stormhorns in the 175th screenshot of the week. A nice, cool shot of dragons. We like shots of dragons here at DDOCast. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Google Plus Hangouts, YouTube, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyberators, the awesome podcast hosting network. Shows are usually available in a few days of recording. Next show will probably be on Sunday, June 15th. That'd be Father's Day. And you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or the website DDOCast.com with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we're going to take a little break from our pug discussion. We're going to do a walkthrough of Partycrashers at the end of the show. But before that, we'll have some news and community news and all the normal stuff. We'll get started with game news. Just some updates on swashbuckling and single weapon fighting. It was confirmed that swashbuckling is not intended to conflict with defensive stances. It is supposed to be kind of its own thing. It shouldn't conflict with pretty much anything. Single weapon on the topic of the single weapon fighting, Vergula wrote that they've been following along the theoretical math. There's been quite a number of posts showing single weapon fighting as being close in damage to two weapon fighting against single targets, which they are currently comfortable with. Some of those show damage being within 5% of each other. Some show that the rankings flip around if you use certain boosts, which also indicates that they're in the right ballpark. Not everyone's necessarily in agreement, but there's a lot of similar stuff, and they're confident they're close enough not to meddle greatly with the current numbers, but they're going to keep an eye on it and adjust in the future. Of course, if everyone starts abandoning two-weapon fighting or two-handed fighting, that would be a problem, but they're not really expecting that, including from reading the threads that are kind of talking about it. Their current thinking includes having single-weapon fighting relatively close to DPS to two-weapon fighting for single targets. One or the other may be favored for particular builds, which is fine, and I definitely would agree with that, if they can maintain that kind of balance. Two-weapon fighting largely retains the advantage in triggered on-hit effects from weapons or other abilities. Two-handed fighting remains king for attacking multiple enemies. I'm not entirely sure if I would 100% agree with that, because you can do a lot with two-weapon fighting and cleave and great cleave, particularly if you're in the Legendary Dreadnought. But I think the basic line is that they are pretty comfortable with where the numbers are, and they expect and are hoping to have single-weapon fighting basically be comparable to two-weapon fighting, depending on the build that you're using. So certain builds should be able to utilize single-weapon fighting a little better than two-weapon fighting and may get more benefits out of it. He also wrote that regarding bard changes, they're kind of looking at whether or not they want or what they're going to do with Spellsinger and Warchainer. They are planning on updating those enhancements. Basically, to kind of summarize things, they're not sure that Spellsinger should be the top-notch healers, DC casters, and DPS casters all at the same time, but that they do feel that those elements needs each of those elements needs stronger options. The main reason existing bard healers are Spellsingers is because that's where most of the support for healing is. What they're looking to do is they're looking at doing some improvements to the Bard tree, Warchainer and Spellsinger. They've got some ideas on how they're going to do that, but basically what they're looking at is Spellsinger remaining caster-oriented tree for Bards. At high level, they're looking to improve spellcasting by adding some enhancements to support DC-based casting, offensive DPS casting, and spell-like abilities. They're looking for the Warchainer to move towards greater party buffing and support. So they'll be looking at kind of transitioning a lot of the healing stuff towards that direction, as well as increasing the party buffing aspect of bards. And then single weapon or the swashbuckler tree would kind of be more the melee DPS tree. Not that the other trees won't lose some of those abilities that kind of go across those guidelines, but that's kind of what they're looking to do. And they have a build concepts and goals thread that you can chime in on if you'd like to get in that conversation. And then regarding defenses, they're not in a position to comment further or provide additional details yet. However, the DDO team has been having conversations about AC, PRR, and evasion that echo some of the discussions that are happening on the forums. They are looking to do some future improvements on that. Lemania had round 4 this weekend. Some of the stuff that kind of came out, these were, I believe, all out of the known issues. But airship exterior trim dies do not work on the Volant and Daedalian airships, so that don't necessarily try and buy those to use those there. The new airship amenities are not currently appearing in chests. This will be fixed in a future update. Pre-update 22 amenities will remain available in the cargo hold for purchase, and new update 22 permanent versions are available for astral shards. There was a lot of kind of upset people on the forums that didn't quite understand what was going on here. There was a couple reasons why they're kind of upset. One is the prices for guild, the new versions of amenities are quite a bit higher than what the old amenities are. Now, there's a reason for that, and that's that once you buy them in the new system, you don't have to buy them again. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at those prices. It's buy once and you own it forever for the existence of the guild. So you don't necessarily need to. You don't need to buy it over and over and over and over and over again. And they will have new airship amenities will drop as end rewards in a patch. It's not happening right now, but they do want to change that. The other thing is that the Banquet Hall Spirit Binder does not bind a character to the airship, but instead binds characters to the Rusty Nail Tavern in the marketplace. Hey, that means we get a binder on the airship, and there was much rejoicing. The green cube, which I'll talk about in a minute, is bound to account. That's a bug. They have a green cube out for sale now, and it is currently bound to account. They are going to fix that in the future. It's supposed to be tradable and auctionable, but until they fix that, they're going to change the description to reflect that status. Bonus days this week, double the daily dice XP, but by the time this comes out, you will not be able to get that anymore. It's only going through June 8th. I'm not sure why they don't make the double daily dice XP last for a week, because it means a lot of people, and there was some feedback on this, and a lot of people don't get their gold roll on that daily dice time frame. And that's kind of lousy. Store news. There's some interesting store news going on. First, they want to remind players that there will be a price change coming for 3 Barrel Cove to reflect the added level ranges and the new content added and the shiny new loot. Price for 3 Barrel Cove currently, before Update 22, is 550 turbine points. With the launch of the update, the price for the pack will become 695 turbine points. If you already own the pack, you do not have to buy it again. But if you don't own it before patch day, you will have to use the new price. And some people did the math. It's about 6 points cheaper to buy it ahead of time than wait for a 20% off sale with the new price. So if you don't have it and you're interested in running some of the new stuff, you should probably buy that now. They are also adding the following creature companions and their associated tricks permanently to the DDO store. Those will be the Beholderling and the Frost Beholderling, the Cyan Cube, and a new green gelatinous cube, which we were talking about earlier. That's the one that's got a bug and is currently bound to account. They are adding stone and golden earth elementals, lake, sea, and tropical water elementals, and fire and pink fire elementals. The poison, pond, and red-eye tree frogs, the brown bear cubs, and the panda cubs. And additionally, they are releasing the creature companion mystery basket. And again, those will be permanent. As far as the mystery basket, you get a random, according to the description, you get a random color Tresium waiting to be your new flying feline companion, as well as a rare chance of getting a pseudo dragon. So if you have waiting for a chance to get those, you now can get them anytime you like. Sales for the week through June 12th. You can get 25% off of creature companions, treats, and gear for creature companions, and name changes for creature companions. There's a creature companion theme going on this week. The freebie for the week is not a creature companion. It is plus 25% crafting success boosters. You can get a 25 stack of those with the code CRAFT6, one per account. Pretty good deal if you like to use the Canth crafting system. In community news this week, the DDO Chronicle, the 95th iteration. DDO Brazil is on Facebook and features news about the game in Portuguese, which is pretty cool. You can give them a like. If you are heading to Gen Con this year, DDO players are organizing a meetup, and I believe Samus is kind of heading things up there, so you can check that out. The guild for the week was Green Mountain Boys, a Thelana-based guild with active members from around the world. It's a level 96 guild that is looking players both new and established, and has enough members that grouping is possible regardless of time zone, which is a pretty impressive feat in and of itself. The comment for the 95th Chronicle was, what were the 3 barrels that Three Barrel Cove got its name from? Those would, let's see, 3 barrels. That would be grog, rum, and probably some scotch. Fan site news for the 95th Chronicle was DDO Gamer looking at Yugoloth potions, which is a nice kind of rundown, and he kind of found that he liked them a little more than he thought he would. He hadn't been using them apparently. I'll be honest, I don't use Yugoloth potions a whole lot. They do have some nice benefits depending on what you're going for. They do come with a drawback, but in a lot of cases it's not too hard to get around those. But if you want to know what those do and Jeff's thoughts on those, you can check out that post. Then we also got a shout out for our first Pug episode. The 96th Chronicle of the week was, let's see, we had Faird putting together some templates and images to help people make their own forum signatures, which was pretty slick. Melodic was planning out a swashbuckler, so if you want to, they're kind of encouraging you to go to the Bard forums to plan your own swashbuckler. I did play around with swashbuckler a little bit, and you'll see that actually in our walkthrough of Partycrashers. We both were on swashbucklers. You can do some interesting builds just by splashing some Bard in. Let's see, MD Interactive was put together a video to get the most from the auction house. You can check that out. If you also want some other tips, we did an episode on making plat that has some tips for using the auction house a while back as well. The Halfling Summer Games are continuing on Kyber. So they're doing raids most every Fridays throughout the summer. You can join them on Kyber. The High Rollers are teaching on Cannith. This weekend they did against the Demon Queen. They've been doing something pretty much every weekend for a while, as well as the High Lords of Malkir, who also did Demon Queen this weekend on Sarlona, and they've been doing a weekly raid teaching night as well. Let's see, Inner Self Reflective Mastery is an Arganesson-based guild looking for adult-friendly players of all skill levels to join them. You can check that out. Which creature companion would you have in real life was the Chronicle comment. Boy, I gotta go with the Beholder. Although there would be some benefit to having a gelatinous cube, because they could do some pretty serious cleaning for you, although they'd probably also eat your stuff, and I'd not be a fan of that, so I'll stick with the Beholder. The DDO Gamer got his dance on in a new blog post. So a while back he did a series on different emotes, but he didn't kind of highlight all of the dances. So what he did here was he expanded the emote Dance and Dance 2, complete with videos and GIFs for that. So you can check that out. He also gave some suggestions for Dance 3. I'm interested in that. There was a community update on video on the 2nd of June, mostly talking about stuff that we've kind of already covered, but you can check that out. They also did, with DDO Twitch this week, a single weapon fighting and swashbuckler preview. Cordovan was with Steel Star, and they just kind of went through the swashbuckler tree and single weapon fighting feats. A little bit of Q&A with that as well, but if you kind of want a good rundown, it's pretty thorough of a rundown of the swashbuckler tree and single weapon fighting feats. There was also a single weapon fighting demonstration video. Cetus was running What Goes Up on Epic Elite as a single weapon fighter, and had some pretty impressive results, so we'll link to that in the show notes as well. DDOCast news, we are still running our contest for doing a Pug Story. You can email us a Pug Story at ddocast@gmail.com, and we'll pick a few of those every once in a while and read some of those and share those. And then we are giving away a code for a starter pack. What that is basically you get a Cleric Hireling Catacombs adventure pack, some Turbine points, and some of that stuff. We did have some pretty good examples of different stories. probably my favorite one so far that I'll share at this point in time. Some folks that were some old school folks running through, I believe it was Servants of the Overlord quest, and they got about a ways down. Go running it, having a little bit of difficulty, but they had to pause. Some people could go AFK for bios, and one particular person decided to drink a few mana potions to top off their Stork's mana. However, they did not click on major elixirs. They clicked wondrous potions, and they used to, but this was changed. They no longer do this, much to the chagrin of many, but they used to drop explosive charges, the same ones you can get in Undermine and Blown to Bits. However, some of the people were AFK, and he blew up most of the party. So that was he still gets some flack for that, as well he should. But still, it is indeed a good story. Let's see, just some general gaming news. I'll mention again, there will be a Gen Con meetup, and we'll link to that in the show notes. I believe Samus Grobo is kind of heading that up, and I hear there may be some prizes from Turbine. Some lightning posts this week. This comes from Zillocient. He was listening to our Pug episodes. He said he's at the part where we say there's no babysitting, and it's really sad to hear when someone returns to playing and maybe level 20, but everything has changed and people won't even help to get a new quest. So just some clarification. It's not that I won't help, and it's not that other people who are on the show and I've made comments like this before. It's not that we don't and we won't help. I do, in fact, help folks all the time, fairly frequently. But you have to keep in mind that, one, it's not always something that I am able to do. It's not always something that players are going to be in the mood to do. If you've had a long, hard day at work and you just kind of want to relax, maybe you don't want to hold someone's hand through a bunch of quests. So that's just something to keep in mind. And also, I would just say that it's completely unreasonable for anyone to have an expectation for other players to wait 20 minutes to accommodate them while they're playing, and that's really kind of what we're more addressing. We're going to move more or less at our own pace, maybe a little bit slower to accommodate some folks, but a lot of times, we just want to kind of cruise through stuff and keep going and keep moving forward. So that's kind of where a lot of those LFM remarks come from. People don't want to get too slowed down. So you're welcome to come and join them and run with them. But if you're going to slow them down a lot, then you might get booted. This is kind of the way it is. Time is an important commodity for a lot of folks. So do what you can to do not make other folks wait. That's really kind of the big thing. Don't slow them down. Let them keep going at their own pace. And unless if you're in a group that you have made it clear that you will be going a little slower, that's fine. But otherwise, particularly if it's a group that's going to be moving quickly and that's up front, maybe it's not the group for you if that's a concern for you. Or you can join them and try really hard not to slow them down. But it doesn't mean people going fast does not mean that they won't stop and help a little bit. They're just not going to spend a lot of their time doing it. Survey question for the week comes from Splingal. He asks, what is the fastest way to get House C favor if you don't like challenges? Unfortunately, you do have to do challenges. You have to do House C challenges to get up to Artificer. If you're trying to do House C favor to get Artificer, which I'm assuming you're doing. Basically, the best way to do it is run the quests on Elite. And if you can run the raids on Hard or Elite, you can probably get a group together to get at least Hard done. Maybe not Elite. Some people aren't really interested in running that. But I think back in the day I did the math, and I think if you had all the quests and both raids on Elite, you only needed to 2-star all of the challenges, and that would be more than enough. And a lot of the challenges are actually pretty easy to get 3 to 4 stars. So you can kind of shorten that a little bit, but you are going to have to run some challenges. However, I will point out that there's no reason why you can't just run them way over level. If you run challenges on the highest level and get all 5 stars, then you get a 6th bonus star. But you don't need to get that 6-star on any of the challenges for the House C favor if you want to get Artificer. So you can just run them, take in a level 28 character and run them on their lowest difficulty level, and that'll be fine. And that is including, too, a lot of challenges have normal heroic versions and epic versions, so you can also split some of them that way as well. So hopefully that will lower the grind if you don't like the challenges, but that's kind of the best way to go about it. You do need to do some of them, and the more stars you get, the better off you're going to be. But you might find some people that you can run that with as well, or you can just buy Artificer in the store. So with that, I'll say thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to Jerry for joining me on the Partycrashers walkthrough, which will be coming up at the end of the show in just a minute here. Thanks to the other folks that are still contributing to DDOCast, and thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to Turbine and Wizards for making some great games, and thanks for Cyberears for hosting the podcast. You can hit us up at DDOCast.com for show notes, our calendar, previous shows, swag, and other fun stuff. If you want to be part of the show or just say hi, you can email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media and follow us for the latest cast updates there. The closing tip for the week comes from Can Touch. He says, play at a comfortable difficulty, which is very good advice. If you're not cut out for Elite, you don't have to run Elite. There is no pressure. There is plenty of XP in the game. You do not have to run an Elite Bravery Streak just to level. It's faster, but you don't need it if you don't feel comfortable with it. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your trust level appropriate, have fun, and don't forget to stay tuned for our walkthrough of Partycrashers with Jerry, a.k.a. Cordovan. Hello, DDOCast listeners. I am here with Jerry. This is your host, Patrick. Say hi, Jerry.
Jerry.
We're going to do a walkthrough of Partycrashers, swashbuckler style. We're both playing swashbucklers on Lomania. I've got a kind of a funky little build here. I got a rogue, 13 rogue, 5 bard, 2 fighter going. Jerry, what are you running here?
An admin. So I have everything. Everything and nothing.
Except for hit points.
Right. When you can't die, it doesn't really matter how many hit points you have.
It's true. We'll run this on Epic just for kicks, but we'll do it on Epic normal. So we're not in here all day.
Yep. I should just say, though, to be honest, I'm just a straight bard, pure level 20 with 5 levels of Epic. This was just an admin character used to show off the bard a little bit during previews and streams. So that's really all that's going on here.
Yeah, this is...
I don't have much in the way of weapons. I've got the Epic Elemental Rapier of Air and the Epic Swashbuckler for the Buckler.
Yeah, I got some goodies from Live, so I got a Celestia here. Let's see how well that works. We're going to run Partycrashers here, and you notice we went in the side door. There's 2 entrances to this one, and you kind of need to start with the side door. The main door is closed at the moment, although later someone could join us, theoretically. You can see up there, where we zoned in, there's a mark of shadow up in the air. You're going to see a lot of those, and that's what we actually have to kill to move on throughout the quest. And until you do that, you get a bunch of stuff to come and attack you. Let's see. Get a few buffs here. I don't usually notice too many things that you really want to have in here. It's a pretty straightforward quest. But a ranged weapon is pretty handy, as is a rogue, both of which we have.
True Sand can be useful in here, especially if you're running it on Epic. Sea Illusion can be quite nice, which you don't usually, or Sea Invisibility, which you don't really get too much use out of otherwise. But
yep. So this, once we shoot that mark, we're going to get some trash spawns here, or if you kind of approach it. But that's pretty much the first thing we got to kill here, is that mark.
The air in the illusion area.
It's a good point. I suppose I should have given myself a ranged weapon.
The illusions around you
That's okay.
dissipate. The way deeper
So
into
once you
the
kill the
illusion
mark, all the stuff
is
that kind
a
of spawned around us goes away. So that little first mark, go right for the mark and kill it as fast as you can. All the other stuff just disappears. And you get credit for the kills, too. In this room up ahead, it's going to be kind of the same functionality. There'll be a mark, and then a whole bunch of stuff's going to spawn. And again, once the mark is gone, everything else is just going to kind of go away.
The air suddenly shifts from tropical heat to bitter cold. It is as if
And
you
the
were
mark is over to the
teleported
left
leagues
behind the
away,
iceberg.
rather than just having walked a few feet.
And then all the kitties go away. Most groups can actually kill that thing before anything else kind of becomes active and tries to kill you.
Yep.
This is kind of it's a little bit of a long run between rooms, but it is kind of a pretty little space. And this is where we're going to get to our...
It's a very unique looking area. It really is. There's not too many places that have the look of this place.
You don't really fight illusionary monsters anywhere else either, which is what this is pretty much full of. So this is kind of where you run into your first trap. And what it does is it kind of slows you down and then throws you into some spikes. There's kind of an illusionary chain thing that goes on. And I'm not going to disable this trap just so we can see it as we run through it. And the mark here is just behind the fountain to the left. And again, once you kill it, the other guy goes away. And so does the trap. The next room with a bunch of little fairies in it, again, same kind of thing. They don't become active until you run through the doorway up the stairs here, at which point everything wants to kill you. And the mark is kind of around to the left and on top of the mushrooms. And either Swashbuckler is really good at killing stuff, or we should be doing this on a little harder difficulty. 'Cause I'm pretty much one-shotting all of the marks here.
Huh, very nice. So we're on Epic Normal?
Yeah. Although, I mean, I have some good gear, but still a little surprising. I'm not even using any of the special attacks either. All right, this room. This is kind of a fun little room here. It's a little tricky because all the air jets are going to blow you through and around. And there is a mark in there somewhere. And you have to kill the mark. The trick here is, once you attack it, it's going to create all these other marks, as you can see here. Now the trick here is if you have true seeing, one of the marks is yellow. That's the one you need to kill. Now, of course, this can be kind of difficult because there are airs blowing you through the spikes and everything. So that can be a little tricky. You can actually disable some of that with the trap that's back here. There's another little trick. Before you activate the room, if you shoot the mark, every single mark will actually become the real mark, and you can kill any mark, and it'll end it. But you have to shoot the mark before you activate the room. So you have to do it before the barrier comes up.
Yep. Yeah, you really do want to try to get that trap so that you don't have to deal with the jets.
Yeah, and that's a real pain in the butt, especially when you get on harder difficulties where you're dealing with a lot of, with more trap damage. Now this mark is going to be kind of hard to destroy because it becomes a scorpion. Now I can really see how this thing does. I gotta say, it's doing some pretty good damage.
Scorpion has also extinguished the mark of shadow. The illusionary barrier is
I'm
gone.
critting for about 270 damage pop here. Once you kill the scorpion, which is essentially the mark, you can keep going. And that's where you're going to get your first shrine. Which is over in that direction. And then there's kind of a mini boss room up ahead. And the way this works is there's
I tend to find people often, unless they really need to, I tend to find people often save that shrine till after this boss fight.
I hardly ever even use the shrine for a variety of reasons. One of which I'll explain in a bit. So this fire giant here, what's going to happen is there's going to be 4 marks throughout the room, each with a different kind of defense mechanism, and they heal the giant. It's usually a good idea to take those things out. This one creates lions. And once you kill the marks, then their various defenses go away.
You can tend to use aggro pretty well in here, like have one person grab the aggro of the beast while your rogue type or whatever sneaks in and hits the mark.
You can also range the marks so you don't end up in their kind of damage radius. This one does spikes, which can be a little bit of a problem.
Although they are evadable.
True. You can kill the giant without killing the marks. That's totally doable as well. Just depends on what difficulty you're on and how much he's healing and how much damage you can do. Well, that one had the wolves. This one has the illusionary chains. And those are just like the Sulamati's chains that slow you down, make it hard to run and all that stuff.
I usually find one person tanks the giant here, or at least tries to manage the aggro, so the person going around doesn't have to deal with them.
To be honest, I usually kind of ignore the giant and run past and go for the marks.
Stop the maleficent cabal's attack.
Once he's down, you get a chest. And then things become a little less straightforward. We're going to go farther into the chapter house. And this is where you get some options on how to proceed. So this room up here is going to have a couple different ways that you can go.
Next to the security gates, a large
next to this big fancy mark on the wall, which you can't kill, you can go that direction, but you get waves and waves of mobs, and there's kind of like checkpoints, barriers that come up if you have too many mobs active. So you have to kill mobs as you go through. Most folks, if you're looking at that big fancy mark, go to the left and down the hall, and you go through the theater. And what that does is it bypasses pretty much the entire area.
The Chapter House Theater.
We're doing all the optionals here?
Yeah, we'll do the optionals.
It looks like it shows
assuming we got the skills for it. So what you do here in the theater is off to the left as you come in, there's a ramp, and it's kind of tricky to find the spot where you grab the ledge here. You can climb up from there. And then that will take you all the way around pretty much the entire fighting area. Falling behind there, Jerry? Oh, he's showing off.
sorry, I had to do it. This character does not have very much in the way of skills because I just created him, right? Like I say, it doesn't matter what his stats are, so I don't actually have enough jump.
You can actually do that jump with a fairly low jump. Even just a jump clicky will do it. If you take your armor off, most characters, particularly at epic levels, can make the jump pretty easily. This is why I don't use the shrine where the giant is, because after the giant, there's no fight to this shrine here if you go this direction.
So we're just going to do the other optionals at the end, is that right?
Yep.
Don't appear to be interactive like the ones in
This room here, so if you activate the mark that we kind of went around, this whole room is full of illusionary mobs and barriers preventing you from advancing if you have too much stuff active, which is why we went around. It is an option, but it's not a very easy option. Alright, now we're in the party that we were...
It's a good way to keep in mind, though. A lot of times you don't need it, but if you are really trying to go for, say, monster kill count, that's a good way to spawn monsters to kill.
You can actually do both methods there, too. You can activate the mark and then take the theater path. And as you jump down and come through that door, you can basically just kill a bunch of stuff there.
You finally reach the house.
So once you come into the party room, what you want to do is kind of stay to the right and go to the front door. And on the guest list, you want to add your name and Cyan's name. And once you do that, any of your party can enter through the main door and join you here, which is a good thing to do if they're kind of behind you. You can just have them wait at the front and catch them up here, because at the end you have to have the whole party with you. So if someone gets lost, they can leave and come back in the front door or something to that effect. Alright, so there's a couple different optionals in here. They mostly involve tieflings. The first one is this guy right over here.
The party guest here seems like a harmless old elf, but that facade does not.
He's surrounded by guards, and he's brainwashed the guards. There's a couple different options it gives you. Bluff, Intimidate, and True Seeing. The True Seeing, pretty much, he just laughs at you. As I recall, the Intimidate is not very high, and most groups will probably actually have someone who can get the Intimidate. However, I'm going to bluff him since I have a lot of bluff skill. What's going to happen is he's going to run over here to the library. And there's actually two optionals that are going on here at the same time. One is to kill him. The other one is to not kill any of the guards. If you can do it without killing any of the guards, you'll be a little better off. Get a little extra chest and a little extra XP.
And again, you can do some nice aggro management if you're able to do so.
Yep. Most of my aggro management is pawning stuff off on the invincible Jerry and getting them to fall because I'm a swashbuckler. Once you kill him, the guards become inactive.
Yeah, I've seen autos be very useful here. Some of the bard abilities could be really good, fascinate, that kind of thing. They do have high saving throws, but it's definitely possible to do.
Yep. I'm not sure if they're immune to mind control or not. You would think they would be since they're already mind controlled, but...
Oh, you're right about that. I'm not sure.
So there's the chest there that you get for that, and there's a chest all the way up and around here. And the chest upstairs, I believe, is the one that you get if all the guards survive. Or it's just locked, I don't remember which. The other optional that we're looking for is a poisoner. And she is disguised as one of the drink servers. They're kind of around the room. you kind of just have to go up to them. It helps if you have true seeing, because you'll find her automatically with that.
One of the drink
Here we
servers
go.
looks like an elf, but you see through her disguise to the glowing red eyes.
So again,
of her
you get the
true
same
tiefling
bluff,
form.
intimidate options. No, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You can actually do both of these optionals at the same time and fight both of the bosses at the same time. If you do the guards first, like we did, the guards will actually help you kill her, this next gal. So it can be slightly beneficial to do the guards first and not kill them. A lot of times I'll actually just talk to them both at the same time just to speed it up a little bit, because it takes a little while for them to walk to the library sometimes.
Magnus's death was much cleaner than the one she had planned.
Then you get another chest for her.
Cyan should be able to find an antidote for any poison the party guests have already imbibed.
Of course, you can actually skip all of these optionals, but you end up fighting everything at the end if you don't, all at the same time anyways. So it's generally recommended that you do as many optionals as you can.
It's also pretty easy to do for the most part if you got the right abilities and some decent XP. Generally not that much individually, but it all adds up.
And I think the Intimidate skill is pretty low, too. I'm not sure how low the bluff goes, but I think on Epic Hard, you can get the Intimidate with somewhere in the mid-teens is the skill that you need, because you also get the roll on it. Third optional is this bathroom door upstairs and to the left, or the north part of the room. This door is locked, so it's a little harder to get through. It is knockable, though. I've seen people knock that all the time. Down here is another tiefling guarding the bathroom. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can bluff him, which I'll do, and he'll go all the way down and let you into the restroom. You get a little extra XP from that. If you just run by him, you'll activate this fight, and you can kill everything anyways and get that part of the optional. You just have to fight it all at once, which may not be desirable.
Yeah, I have to warn you, I've actually seen some party wipes in that fight. It's a little harder than I think some people think, because there's a lot of them, there's a lot of casters, they can really do some real damage.
And they all come out at once. The way we're going to do this is kind of sneaky, and we won't have to fight as much stuff at a time. It also has one of the more popular uses of a rest shrine in the game. Here's the resurrection shrine as the toilet paper in this bathroom stall. And the rest shrine is in the other one. Kudos to the dev that came up with that little trick.
Pretty sure we can thank Purple Foods for a lot of this.
I believe they also have the same thing in the Cannith Challenge, the Mansion Cannith Challenge. Alright, so you can see a nice little secret door here, and there's a bunch of these to kind of connect all these rooms, which is where all of the monsters are. It's mostly just a bunch of tieflings. Try and go for the casters first. It's generally an advisable choice. And when you come out through the door here, you want to make sure you don't get too close to the guard down the hall. Let him just kind of sit there for a minute. If you activate him, all the other guys come running out. And it's much easier to kill all these guys one at a time. Gotta say, the swashbuckler's kind of mulling through stuff here. I'm not even getting my sneak attack damage either. Once you clear all the rooms, you can then go and poke the big guy. This guy can be pretty tough. He does stun occasionally. But if you take out all of his minions, he's pretty easy to take care of on his own. So all that stuff we just fought, if you just run by the guard at the beginning, then you have to fight all of that stuff all at the same time. So definitely not advised that you do it that direction, but you can't intimidate him to use the bathroom. You have to bluff him, so you may have to do it the hard way. Or anything you want to add about that fight there, Jerry?
Nope.
Well, there's, I believe, a fourth option.
I would say don't talk to Cyan until you have all your optionals done here. Or until everything you want to do is done.
Right. I think there's a fourth optional, but I'm not very familiar with it. Do you know how that one works?
Yeah, there's a way to get a key, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I never do it. Those are pretty much the three that I do, because if you do those three, then the end fight is non-existent. And that's where the key is. It's after that. Because you get it in the chest. But once you're ready to go, you can tell Cyan that you're ready to finish. And she'll kind of saunter over to the east, which is where the end room is. And this is where you have to have everyone in your party together.
Oh, here we go. Up here you can actually, although maybe you were going to already do this, here you can get the crystal for the illusionary sculpture. This is just kind of up the stairs to your left. You just talk to this guy and then get the shard for it, or the crystal. And we can do that afterwards.
I think you can actually talk to Cyan before you do the optionals and let her kind of wander over there and get ready to go before, and then do the optionals afterwards, but I'm not positive on that. So this quest has multiple endings. If you do all the optionals, you get the ending that we're going to see here. If you don't get all the optionals, all three of those optionals we did, whatever you didn't do, you have to fight all of those mobs at this point, basically, which is quite a brutal fight. There's all the casters from the bathrooms, and there's also the poisoner and the illusionist are both casters as well, and red name, so it can be a pretty brutal fight. Plus, it's kind of fun to see all the back and forth between the mastermind and Cyan here. All right. Anything we should add about the quest in general here, Jerry?
Well, I mean, we'll be talking about more of the optionals afterwards here, right?
Yeah. It does have a nice flow to it. I mean, there's pretty straightforward for most of it, and then you have the optionals at the end. A lot of different things that are going on. Yeah, here's the contraband vault key in this chest. If you do it on Epic, you also have an Epic chest over here. Hey, look, I got a mirror cloak seal. Only took me forever to get that on live.
Alright, so let's go back and do some of these optionals then, huh?
Yeah, hang on, Speedy.
Oh, sorry. So the first thing you can do is this one actually over here. Or is actually, no, sorry, it's a different room. As you can see, these guys don't spawn on the way back.
So now we
Yeah, here's
activated
something
all
you
the
can
stuff.
mention. Oh, there we go.
This is all the stuff that we were talking about earlier that you can end up fighting with the traps as well.
So there is a, some people will go through this area. It should be noted that you can actually avoid these spikes with a decent jump skill by basically hugging the wall here. I'm not doing a very good job of it, but you can jump from pillar to pillar here and avoid these spikes.
It's actually a fairly common thing with traps in general. If you kind of stay near one of the walls, sometimes there's a little opening. Yeah, so here's one of those barriers. You're gonna have to kill some of that stuff there, Jerry. This is what happens when you get a bunch of stuff to spawn and you get a barrier. So it can be really easy to get your party kind of separated by those and run into some problems.
Alright, so the one optional, the shard that we picked upstairs, you can use on this illusion crystal here.
Has been replaced. The new sculpture's twitching snout truly speaks to the
And it's kind of a nice
artist's
little area there.
So we have to get back to the ballroom, right?
Yeah, I suppose we could finish this up one at a time.
I think depending on the difficulty, the Trasher actually respawns a little bit.
Yeah, it actually, I think it's on a timer, right? Because pretty much if you keep running through this area, you're just going to fight them over and over. Like I said, it can be a good way if you really want it to get your monster kills in.
Just for clarification for the folks watching here, all these numbers coming up are not just swashbuckler stuff. There's some other things that I have going on as well. I think I'm getting some serious damage out of this, though.
Again, you go up here, speak to Salva when you're done.
It gives you a lockbox.
And I'll get you a chest. It's a really easy chest to do.
Depends on how much of the mobs bog you down.
Right, although, again, you can avoid most of that if you, or minimize it at least. Like you can keep one person in there, have one person go and do it, have the other person talk.
Yeah, that's a really solid way to do it, actually. So where are we going next?
I don't know, maybe back to the theater, you want to do that one?
Sure.
Just making it easy on us. I have to be honest, this section is actually a little tricky in terms of the puzzle, but I don't suppose you know it.
No, I don't, actually. There's a trap nearby, though.
The stage
So,
backdrop changes
yeah,
when you
you're
fiddle with
basically
these
right.
controls. It doesn't seem to do
I remember, who
anything
did we
else
talk
at
to
this
get the clue? Do you remember?
I think it's someone in the ballroom.
Right. They're going to tell you basically the order in which to do this stuff.
Alright, so we went back to Thaddeus, found the guy, and he gave us stage notes. Which, here we go. So, Hero arrives in Stormreach. Hero pays tribute to a fallen mentor's grave. Hero on a ship voyage. Hero arrives on Korthos. Hero explains ancient giant runes, and the hero returns to Stormreach. Which presumably is the order that we have to get.
It in order,
Right.
according to that thing. Really, you can do trial and error and figure it out. There are some nice player-created guides that'll help you through this, say the DDO Wiki. There are also guides in the forums, Ultimate Game Guide, things like that. They can really make this go a lot easier as well.
What I'm doing here is just kind of cycling through to figure out which one's which, and then using the party chat as kind of a little notebook, which you actually find some groups doing at various points as well.
And when you're ready to hit that 6-1, before you do it, you buff and want to buff and stuff.
You mean like that?
Yep.
You do all that stuff, and then you get to fight the stagehand.
If you haven't disabled that trap, you'll also have these spikes to deal with.
Thaddeus Hitchstone will be glad to know that he was not simply being
Should
paranoid.
probably not be the best of things to drop into. And that lets you out. A little tricky, that one. But not too bad. I think that's... Are there any more optionals? I think that's kind of it, isn't it?
Nope, there's one more. We have the key to do.
Oh, right, the key.
And again, this is one you really want to wait until after you've run the quest, because that way if you party wipe or die or something, it's not really that big a deal.
You actually have to, because you need the key from the end, right?
Yeah, right, I think you're right.
These paintings are exquisite. It seems that the entertainment business has been very lucrative for House Fiarlan.
It's a nice looking door.
It's a nice looking door. It can't be picked though. So, to do this room, you have to talk to, what was his name again?
Drake Aramon.
And he gives you the key that we can go into this door here.
Yeah, and Drake Aramon's located, if you first get into the ballroom and you face the staircase, you know, put the fountain between you and the staircase, facing the fountain. You just sort of over there.
Are on a higher level of opulence.
Hey, look, it's Nat Ganzern.
The urn's lid is open, and it's filled with rubbish. It appears that the Viceroy has been using it as a garbage bin.
It's not very nice.
No, it's not.
And again, now we're using contraband key here.
Radiates from this statue. It is evil, and clearly much more powerful than anything you've faced in the chapter house so far. It may not be wise to touch it unless you are ready for the fight of your life.
These you can both do at the same time.
I will say, you know, you were talking about general tips earlier. Although it can be nice to get ransack bonus in this quest, it really is a lot of work. So typically, I don't see a lot of people do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of nooks and crannies. Kind of makes it hard to do that kind of thing.
With the death of this devil, the Maleficent Cabal has lost a
That
powerful
guy's worth a
enforcer.
fair bit of XP, so. And a couple of chests as well. We should probably do these more often.
I'm actually going to see what happens when I talk to Drake again.
Ooh. Get a lot of nasties, that's what happens.
Actually, that happens when you come back out of the room. So again, you can avoid this fight by not doing that.
Yeah, it seems like leaving one person in the ballroom to kind of talk to all the people is kind of the way to go.
Well, see, we could, if we had thought about it, we can actually do all that talking beforehand.
True. Then you have
know,
to
you
go
do
back
it the
for two
first
of them.
time through, so you don't have to do it later. Right.
Alright, so we killed the big dude, we got the urn, and now we tell this guy. Master Artificer.
And then get another chest. Like I say, if you do all these optionals, yeah, it's a little time consuming, but not so much if you know what you're doing. You get it all done, you know, in terms of the talking and all that. It's a lot of chests in this quest.
And some fair bit of XP. I mean, there's a lot of optionals there. And one of them was 8K, and one of them was 5K. So that's just on normal too. Well, there you go. There's epic Partycrashers. Not the most direct and efficient route, but at least with the last 3 optionals. But got it done. There you go. Have fun in here. It's a good quest. It's kind of one of the more interesting quests. Not quite as linear, particularly with all the optionals. So it's a good quest. A lot of fun. Thanks for listening.